It's race 2 of the weekend at the Nuerburgring for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and the drivers then making their way round onto the grid in readiness for what promises to be another spectacular race for perhaps the ultimate one-make series, with only 2 more races to go in the championship after this as well, because the Lamborghini World Finals come next. But as far as the race here is concerned, based on the time set in the standalone second qualifying session, the grid is forming, and it will have Sebastian Balthazar lining up on pole position. That car yesterday was driven by, in the opening stint, Seb Morris, and was involved in many of the battles, but ultimately the car dropped away a touch towards the end of the race. But we'll see now what it can do to recover and get you some more points in the championship, because it comes into this race now 6th, and Sebastian Balthazar is going to be the start driver. Yesterday's race was won by Max Weering, who has gained a co-driver for this weekend to try and help him win the championship, Loris Spinelli, and they were victorious yesterday by 5.4 seconds from Glenn Van Berlo and Raoul Gutzman, as we head to the grid and hear from Seb Morris with Gemma Scott.
Great to see you down here, back with the Lamborghini after a bit of a break, and jumping in for the last 2 rounds and starting on pole.
Yeah, it's not been a bad weekend at all. Took me a bit of a time in practice to get up to speed and stuff. It's a very different car to drive than a GT3, so there's a lot of new things to learn. But I was on the pace in the race yesterday, and hopefully we can have a bit of an easier race from the big start.
It's an incredibly close championship. We say it every race weekend of how close the times are between everybody.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it in the race yesterday. I'm used to GT3 where certain cars have certain advantage throughout different parts of the race, but everyone was just straight on the pace and very consistent as well. So hopefully that'll be to our advantage today with a clean air in front, and hopefully we can have a nice easy race.
Nice easy run into turn 1 and just take it from there.
Yeah, I'm going to be nervous watching.
Well, have a good one. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Seb Morris brought into that car while Noah Watt recovers from his battering at Spa. If you remember, in the first race, he spun backwards into the barriers coming out of Blanchimont, and Sebastian Balthazar and Noah Watt therefore had to skip race 2. Well, in order to keep the hopes alive in the championship of Sebastian Balthazar, new co-driver for this weekend. Now, as I was saying, the championship, Leonardo Pacini, Kevin Gilardoni, the current leaders, but they yesterday only finished 4th, with a co-driver now for Max Weering, Loris Spinelli, champion of years past. Is a good idea to try and help him now to get closer on the points, and they have done exactly that. So it's now 13, the margin between the top 2 in the championship. In other words, Gilardoni and Pulcini, and then Max Weering in 2nd spot going into this 2nd race of the weekend. To the grid next, Glenn Van Berlo lines up on the outside of row 1.
Glenn, it's the place you want to be, front row, heading down into turn 1. What can we expect?
Yeah, hopefully some action. Yesterday was a good day with B2. Yesterday evening we analysed everything deeply in order to find some extra time today. So it will be a tough race. Turn 1 will be tricky, of course, but we go for it. So hopefully, yeah, we are obviously hungry for more. So let's see how the race goes.
You talk about deep analysis there. Is that setup change?
A little bit, but also you're also looking driving-wise what you can improve, obviously. So there's also a bit of time. So both the car and the drivers, and then yeah, let's see how it goes today.
Absolutely, time will tell. Thank you very much. Have a good race.
Thank you.
So Raoul Gutzman and Glenn Van Berlo 2nd yesterday, and the car that defeated them lines up for this race on the 6th row of the grid. Max Weering not as quick in qualifying as Loris Spinelli was in his equivalent session. They're 3rd, the championship leaders. Kevin Gilardoni will go first before he hands over to Leonardo Pacini. And on the outside of the 2nd row of the grid, Kevin Rossell, who's now become a soloist rather than having a co-driver. So after yesterday, where we also had a shuffle around of drivers in Pro-Am, Karol Bash and Andrei Lewandowski still ahead, or at least Andrei Lewandowski is now on 115 points. Karol Bash, having missed this weekend's races, becomes effectively 2nd, ahead of then Bronek Formanek and Josef Saruba in the Pro-Am battle. But the overall championship leaders, Leonardo Pacini, well, he's with Gemma.
Leonardo, we saw yourself and Kevin pushing so hard yesterday. The car seemed to be fairly strong, and yourselves as well.
Yeah, I think yesterday's race was compromised by a bad start, but I think the pace was there. As soon as I went off of traffic, the car was very strong. We know our car is very strong on the 2nd stint, and I'm jumping in the 2nd stint, so looking forward to it.
How hard is it here with this traffic?
It's a bit difficult here to overtake, but we are in a good position, so we aim for the victory today.
And Kevin's hungry for it, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Have a good race.
So Leonardo Pacini will do the second stint in that car, lining up on the second row of the grid. There, number 33, another combination that's had a victory this year. Dan Pell and Danny Cruz, they were victorious at Spa. And the Bonaldi Motorsport car there lining up at 6th on the grid, going into this race with the teenage Dan Pell behind the wheel for the opening stint of the race. Quite a big Dutch influence coming through Lamborghini ranks. We had it a few years ago with Jeroen Mul. We're getting it again now with not only Dan Pell and Danny Cruz, but the next car on the grid, Milan Tikens and Maxi Moesten, both Dutch drivers there. For 5th on the grid, though, going the other way, is Milos Pavlovic to start. Petar Matic did the opening stint yesterday. Milos Pavlovic, who's been part of the Lamborghini family for many a season now, is good to go. Very rapid driver himself, so I expect that car to be in the mix in the opening stint of the race. Dan Wells, the British driver, there to start 8th on the grid. Sharing with Oscar Lee, based in the Far East these days, Dan Wells, but with no Asian racing, they've made the decision to come and race in Europe. So on the outside of row 4, 8th on the grid, that car. And look over its shoulder, there you can see number 54, 7th on the grid of Milan Tikens and Maxi Moesten. There it is. So Maxi Moesten goes first in this stint, and then 9th on the grid. You can see there is number 6, which is the car of Matteo Michelotto, who was given a time penalty yesterday for causing a collision. And Michelotto hoping to steer clear of drama today as he starts on row 5 of the grid. 27 is going to be started today from 10th on the grid by Guillaume Pujol, the Spanish driver, another of the Oregon cars. And that car in Pro-Am, which is the class being led now by Andrzej Lewandowski, who will start a little bit further back on the grid. But Pro-Am, as ever, will have a very, very good battle, and that you can be sure. So that is the view from onboard Sebastian Balthazar's car on pole position. The other classes just after yesterday, the Lamborghini Cup still being led by Hans Fabry from Pierre Ferrigioni and Daniel Wyszynski, who got into the race late after mechanical dramas. And the AM competition is now being led by Claude-Yves Gosselin from the absent Ray Calvin. And Gabriele Rindoni, the Luxembourg driver, well, he is in the race today, but he didn't do yesterday's race. The stewards have given him dispensation to take part today. He will start at the back of the grid, and we'll see what pans out for him over the course of the next 50 minutes of racing. Pit window between 20 and 30. And the drivers then are set, good to go. Be a rolling start, of course, as you look down at the Target Racing entry in the hands there of Raul Gutzman to do the opening stint, the Mexican driver. They've not yet had a victory this year, Raul Gutzman and Ben Van Baarle, but not for the want of trying. They've led, they've been on the podium, 3rd at Monza, 3rd at Paul Ricard, 3rd at Zandvoort, but the winner's not yet come, but today could be the day as the grid is now cleared, and we'll very shortly indeed get the cars away on the formation lap. So the Lamborghini Urus will blast away as the leading car in a moment. And then the Grand Prix circuit here will echo to the sound of today 31 Lamborghini Huracans for this second race of the weekend, the 10th race within Super Trofeo. So the green flag shown, and away goes Sebastian Balthazar then, who leads the pack down towards the first corner. Sebastian Balthazar, who came through the single-seater ranks of Formula Masters and the MRF Challenge and the German F3 Cup before coming to Super Trofeo last year, and he's the man lining up on pole position with Raul Gutzman on the outside of row 1. Both of those entrants from the Pro Cup. Third on the grid, Kevin Gelardoni, with Kevin Rossell to line up alongside him, and then Milos Pavlovic and Dan Pell on the third row of the grid. Row 4, Maxime Houston and Dan Wells, with Mathieu Michelotto and then Guillaume Pujol starting on row 5 of the grid. Row 6, Dimitri Gavatseva and then Max Weering, yesterday's winner. It's going to be interesting to see what Weering can do from there to make progress early ahead of Yuri Wagner and then Josef Zaruba. Next on the grid will be Francesco Guerra, who lines up alongside the Chinese driver Han Hui-lin ahead of Adrian Amstutz and Gerhard Batzinger. Andrzej Lewandowski comes next with Holger Harmsen lining up alongside. Then Gerard van der Horst and Oliver Freimuth ahead of Mark Rostam and Gregor Moczulski starting today. Next on the grid will be Benoit Semelin alongside Gregor Drazel. Then Libor Dvoracek and Hans Fabry ahead of the Privitelios, father and son, and it is going to be Luciano who drives first, Daniel Waszinski alongside, and then joining the grid, having missed yesterday, Gabriele Rondoni, the Luxembourgish driver, starting at the rear of the field. So the cars now come up through the Schumacher S, but slightly dirty outside line, caught out a few in the earlier GT4 race. The Lamborghini drivers, as ever, like everybody, using that low curb on the inside. It's of course a circuit that plays host to cars, to trucks, and on occasions motorbikes, but it's not the most common of motorbike circuits, but quite often the German Superbike Championship has been here supporting the Truck Grand Prix, so again it's got to be a circuit that caters for all manner of vehicles. Low curbs at certain places, but you see the very high steep curb on the exit of the chicane through which the cars will turn very shortly. So Daniele Gabbiati, the race director, will, if he's happy that the order is as it should be, get everybody geared up ready for the start of the race in that rolling start formation. Sebastian Balthazar versus Raoul Gutzmann at the very front. So the cars now set for the green lights on the start gantry, the green flags from the marshal. The lights on red at the moment then as the cars come into the tighter version of the chicane, the Formula 1 chicane as it's dubbed, because it's the more start-stop version. The GT cars racing this weekend take the flowing line, the motorbike version, but the Lamborghini Super Trofeo use the tighter chicane. Therefore, the pace at the top of that straight has to be a little bit less because of the heavy braking. It also means they arrive at this section of the circuit slightly slower as well. And we're about to go racing. So Sebastian Balthazar, it is, on that pole position. He comes now up towards the exit of turn 17, and absolutely no suggestion of putting down the power is there yet. Others crawl through the corner. What Balthazar is trying to do is steal a march on Gutzmann alongside him, which he does, but whether that start is going to be approved on by the race officials, we'll have to wait and see, because it gives him an advantage of about 2 lengths, and it made a real bottleneck coming up to turn 17. But Balthazar leads the way down to turn 1. Second is Gutzmann, and a good start by Kevin Rossell puts him third. Fourth on the inside is Kevin Gelardoni. The Oregon car goes for third, in fact, on the inside line. The red Bonaldi car there of Dan Pell also, as it comes into shot to the outside of Milos Pavlovic as they round the looping left of turn 2 for the first time of asking them. Yesterday's race got 24 laps in the book. That's the target as they come now up through turn 3 and 4. Guillaume Pujol there just ahead of Dimitri Gavatseva in the 99 entry. The car operated by Target Racing, another of the many busy Lamborghini teams with a whole fleet of cars here. Number 2 then, Sebastian Balthazar trying to escape up front for Leipert. He leads the way as they ride the curb on the exit of turn 6, drop downhill here. So the leader's at turn 8, and Balthazar has the advantage, and there, up the curb goes Max Weering against fellow countryman Maxime Houston. So the 2 Dutch drivers run side by side. Houston gets forced out wide over the curb, but he stands his ground for the inside line for the next corner. Further down the order here is Adrian Amstutz, number 9. Class winner yesterday in Am with Miguel Ramos, as the car goes left and goes right through the Schumacher S. You can't really see the gravel on the road particularly, but it is there more on the exit of the corner to catch out the unwary as the field flicks through the S for the first time. At the back of the pack then, Privitelio, and at the front of the queue is Balthazar with a bit of a flash from Raoul Gutzmann's lights to try to distract him here on the run up towards the chicane. There is third, Kevin Rossell, going nicely ahead of Kevin Gelardoni. Rossell now a soloist. Jonathan Cecotto not here this weekend. And there, another big move being made up the inside. That was Yusuf Zaruba trying to gain ground. And now Gutzman is under real attack. Kevin Rossell tries one side and then the other. Kevin, part of the Lamborghini Young Driver program. He's raced in the GT4 series a few years back. A couple of years ago in Super GT in Denmark. He was the champion. And he comes over the line now, but the leader, Sebastian Balthazar, 1 second to the good at the end of the opening lap, with everybody else second in a queue by the look of it. And there, Rossell brakes really late, almost gets into the back of Gutzman. Contact avoided, but they're out wide, and a change for third. Then Gilardoni jumps through, and a punctured tyre. That's done for Gutzman. Around he goes. So there's been contact somewhere, and the tyre goes down as he loads it up going into turn 3. And the net result of all of that is that around goes Raoul Gutzman, and that car is effectively out of the race. Really bad luck on only lap 2. Now, was that a curb strike or was it a touch with another car? I don't think it was a car necessarily, because there hadn't been that much close racing between Gutzman and the others, unless it was under the braking zone for turn 1 on that lap. But either way, the net result is that the tyre goes down and Gutzman is out of the race. So whether that was contact or a curb strike, Gutzman will be able to say post-race, but either way he's out of it now, and that means that Kevin Rossell, having just lost third place to Kevin Gilardoni, is back in third place. Here's the replay. It's looking soft already, but no, there wasn't contact at that corner, and there the tyre just goes down heading through turn 2. So maybe it was a curb strike. This is where they use more curb than other parts of the circuit, so if he'd have just cut the tyre slightly and the pressure was coming out of it, can't believe it was anywhere else other than that. Anyway, Gutzman is out, and there, number 27, Guillaume Pujol, goes through, keeping at bay Dimitri Gavatseva in the Pro-Am battle as the leading train of cars storms down the hill once again. The leaders here make the run towards the chicane, and then look back. You can see Milos Pavlovic in the green car under attack because of the inside line there. Dives Mattia Michelotto, and he runs out of road, gets onto the grassy bit in the middle of the chicane, brings one of the traffic cones onto the circuit. That's then destroyed by another of the Oregon cars further back in the queue. So drama as Michelotto tries to storm up the pack. He was penalised yesterday for causing incidents, and the same might befall him today if he's not careful. So the race leaders go down towards turn 1. These cars would always make a great noise, and you can see there within Pro-Am, Dan Wells running 5th overall, and he currently has that class lead. So Dan, who it's great to have back racing in Europe because we don't see enough of him. He's on the tail of Dan Pell there, the Spa winner. But Dan Wells, yesterday the car badly delayed early on. Oscar Lee, his co-driver, got harpooned by Fidel Lime coming up to the chicane. And right now, they are leading Pro-Am, and Dan Wells trying to build that gap. Milos Pavlovic is second in Pro-Am. Petar Matic will take that car over, and then you've got third in the class. Now Peugeot ahead of Dimitri Gavatseva. Now downhill goes Max Wearing. He's not making the progress, is he? He's still in 9th place, which means that Loris Spinelli is going to have quite a lot of work to do in his stint to bring Wearing back into the mix to help him in the championship, and it's looking therefore better for Gilardoni and Pulcini because they currently run in 2nd spot in the race, and therefore in class as well. Out of the Schumacher S turn the race leaders. Going through number 65, which is Francesco Guerra, doing the start stint here. He will hand the car over to Nikolai Silvestre, former GT4 racer, who was pretty quick yesterday as well. So up front, Sebastian Balthazar has the advantage, but Kevin Gilardoni last time did the fastest lap of the race. So the margin, 1.3 seconds. Kevin Rossell runs third. There going through is the Pro-Am Championship leader, Andrzej Lewandowski. And as he turns now into the chicane, Lewandowski trying to gain ground. He's got Eduardo Liberati to help him. That number 39 is Han Hoi-Lin, and they've changed places for 15th overall on this lap. Han Hoi-Lin for Bussen Gignon, currently leading the Am Cup. The Chinese driver with no Asian championship to take part in. Same problem that Oscar Lee faces. He's come to Europe to do his racing, which is good news, good for us to see him. But racing in Asia very much on hold at the moment, given the restrictions on travel and quarantine and the like out there. Sebastian Balthazar then clear in the race lead. Kevin Gilardoni in second place. The margin up last time, 2 seconds between them. Kevin Rossell runs third. There is Gilardoni making his way down through turns 5 and 6. Leonardo Pacini to take over that car, and Pacini has proved, for the most part, to be the fractionally quicker of the two. So if they're second now, it's only going to get better, isn't it, into the next stint of the race. Kevin Rossell there runs third as the cars head downhill again. Dan Pell runs fourth. And then you've got Dan Wells ahead of Milos Pavlovic, with Michelotto, Weering, Ouston and Peugeot to round out the top 10. And Raoul Gutzmann's car out of the race then, after that punctured tyre down at turn 2. Big disappointment for him and Glenn Van Berlo. An absolute best in the first sector being put in by Mattia Michelotto. So now that he's got clear of traffic, he's closing on Pavlovic. He's almost with him as well, but being able to use that clear road ahead to very good effect, putting in good sector times as the leaders storm downhill once more. Sebastian Balthazar, who has been with Noah Watt there or thereabouts all season, had a win at Zandvoort in the first race. Are they on for a second? Well, a lot of it's going to be down to Seb Morris, isn't it? And he's got to rise to the occasion in the second part of the races there. Milos Pavlovic threatens Dan Wells for the lead of Pro-Am as they come into the chicane, but Dan Wells able to fend him off at least for the moment. The Lippert car of Wells and Oscar Lee still leads the class as over the line comes the race leader. So through goes Balthazar. Gilardoni runs second, Rossell runs third. Then it is Dan Pell ahead of Wells, ahead of the car in the hands of Pavlovic, Michelotto, Weering, Ouston and Peugeot round out the top 10. Max Weering and somebody else with a puncture by the look of it. That limping on is Gregor Mochulski. That's happened down at turn 8. Interesting. So what is there that's causing punctures? We've had 2, and we had none yesterday whatsoever. So really mysterious. This have teams been a bit chancy on pressures. Let's have a look here at the move between earlier on Rossell and Gutzmann. Now, was that where there was a bit of a rub and the tyre was cut? Possibly. It's a very gentle rub if there was contact there. It's already happened. You can see the tyre is soft when the car comes into shot. If it was that contact, it was coming down into the corner rather than through the corner itself. But Gutzmann then out of the race, and we've had another tyre go down seemingly as well for then Gregor Mochulski's car that limps on. So here, under braking, to the inside line goes Rossell, but it's the tyre on the right that's the one that goes down, and I don't think he was alongside him on the right-hand side there. This is where the tyre goes pop. Gutzmann out of the race, and they're going to come across that slow car of Mochulski that is limping round. There it is. So you can see on the left rear corner, tyre down. It's a different corner, admittedly, from the corner that popped on the Gutzmann entry. But that car limps back to the pit lane. So as he's slow, something else being chucked into the air there, going through the Advan Bogen as well. So the field blasts through up towards the chicane. There are the race leaders. So Sebastian Balthazar up front, makes his way now towards the timing line and is building that gap over in second place. Kevin Gilardoni for third, coming over the line, Kevin Rossell. The margin between the top two, 1.4 seconds. Gilardoni, though, now with the fastest lap of the race to his name. Fourth, Dan Pell. Dan Wells is still fifth, and Milos Pavlovic rounds out the top 6 as the leader now goes through the first corner. On board then with Sebastian Balthazar. 10 minutes done. Turns his way up through the arena. And there are more good battles going on behind here as the field now turns down through the right-hander out of the arena. Adrian Amstutz you're riding with in the Am Cup leading car. Adrian Amstutz then in 18th spot, third in class. Han Hui Lin leads it. Gerhard Batzinger is second in class, and Adrian Amstutz, who's on World Challenge Europe duty later on with Barwell, is there third in the category. The Swiss driver who came out of this category a few seasons ago, and it's good to have him back racing after a nasty shunt at Spa a few years ago. So he's on the attack as they come now through the left, through the right. There, Dan Pell hangs on to fourth place, but Dan Wells behind him is the, sorry, apologies, I'm further down the order. Also, number 70, Gerhard Watzinger ahead of Adrian Amstutz. Same livery for Pell as Watzinger, but this battle is for 17th overall, second within the AM class. Miguel Ramos to do the second stint. Watzinger in number 9, Watzinger number 70 is soloist. He'll go all the way to the flag. And there is another one with a puncture. Now that, I think, is Holger Harmsen's car. So yet another limps back to the pit lane. This is all very odd. The cars then accelerate through in this fight for second in AM. Adrian Amstutz looks to attack Gerhard Watzinger. Into the chicane they come. This is the tighter version, so it's a harsher left and right. It's a little bit more strain on the car as well, because you've got to go down through the gears and then accelerate up through the box again the other side. Moczulski has just made it back to the pits, and as he comes down the pit lane, passing him on the track, this battle. Through now goes Watzinger. Amstutz right up behind him as they pass the pits, break the beam. The margin between them as they came across the line, 0.2 of a second. Down towards turn 1 now. Amstutz right onto the back of Gerhard Watzinger. So he tries one side, tries the other. Adrian Amstutz, the medical company owner, comes to the inside again into turn 3, but there's just no opportunity there to make the move. Gerhard Watzinger doing a good job of defending, that is for sure. He's been a winner at Spa, but only one win to his name. And the winner yesterday, Adrian Amstutz, with Miguel Ramos right there behind. The regular Vodafone backing that Miguel Ramos brings to a car, and he drops down the hill now. Amstutz into turn 8, that long right-hander. Gentle with the power, patience, patience, patience. Now floor the throttle, climb up the hill into the Schumacher S. These two running together. Flick left, use the curb right. Bit more curb used on the exit by Amstutz, but he's looking the quicker of the two. Watzinger having to defend as they put the lap there on Holger Harmsen's car. Gregor Moczulski has rejoined after his pit stop as the race leaders have just gone through, with the margin now 2 seconds between them, but Amstutz trying everything here to get ahead. Up to the chicane, Amstutz once more denied, just no way through there. Race leaders already on to lap number 8. The projection is going to be 24 laps in this race, 35 minutes still on the clock, and that means we're about 5 minutes away from the pit window opening. You get a 10-minute window where if you are a soloist you must sit and wait. If you are a double driver entry, you do the driver change. Adrian Amstutz here out of turn 1 again. Great noise these cars make, and Adrian Amstutz once more tries to force the issue against Gerhard Watzinger, but to no avail as the leader Sebastian Balthasar goes through. Now I wonder whether some of the teams are trying to communicate to the drivers that there have been these punctures and drivers need to keep away from sharp objects, keep away from gravel and curbs. Balthasar turns up towards the Bilstein curve now, and then on the run up towards the chicane. Kevin Gilardoni in second spot. In the background, Kevin Rossell for third. Dan Powell fourth, and over his shoulder, Dan Wells in fifth place. So the Dutchman ahead of the brick. Kevin Rossell falling away a little bit now from Gilardoni in third place, not being able to sustain that fight. So with just under 4 minutes to the window opening, the leaders come by. Balthasar to Gilardoni was 2 seconds. And this time, the margin between them is 2.5, gone up a little bit. Yep, so advantage Balthasar this time. Through they turn, and now then down through the arena once more at the start of the lap. Under normal conditions, huge grandstands looking over the circuit, full of people, but not quite so easy at the moment at the Nuerburgring with restrictions in place. Good little fight going on here still between the two Dutch drivers. Max Weering ahead of Maxime Ooston. Weering, yesterday's winner, has got ahead up into 8th place, but Loris Spinelli, who's going to do the second stint in that car, is going to have to do the hard work, seemingly. Through they turn once again. Just up the road ahead, Mattia Michelotto. So Weering with 32 minutes on the clock, hangs on to 8th place. The better news is that is 6th in the class in the Pro Cup. Behind a pair of them, you can see Guillaume Pujol. Now he is running in 3rd in Pro-Am, ready to hand over to Massimo Siglia. But the car now comes for the Oregon squad out of turn 8, up the hill. Number 27 there, Guillaume Pujol. The top 2 in Pro-Am, still Dan Wells ahead of Milos Pavlovic. Peugeot 3rd, Gavatsova 4th, Zaruba 5th, and then Yuri Wagner running in 6th place. Question mark is going to be over the relative pace of the second stint drivers in Pro-Am, with Andrei Lewandowski giving way to a much quicker than anybody really, Eduardo Liberati, one of the real stars here, very much a pro in a Pro-Am car. Lewandowski 15th overall at the moment, and currently 6th in class. Weering, Ooston, and then Pujol come through, and Max Weering slow through the chicane, covers off the inside line to the outside, tries to go Maxime Ooston, but that does not work for him. In now to turn 17 they come. Window will be open at the end of the next lap for them. Through they turn, and now the drop into the first right-hander. So Max Weering under real attack here. It means he can't really go after Mattia Michelotto up the road, and it means he's losing time against the race leaders. Nose to tail they come here for lap 10 out of turn 3. Right with them as well, Guillaume Pujol, still out of the Pro-Am contest, but Pujol tries to find a way onto the back of Maxime Ooston then as the leaders accelerate once more through turn 8. This battle comes into turns 5 and 6. So Maxime Ooston raced in the championship last year, came out of the Dutch Supercar Challenge. He's also dabbled in Porsche Super Cup as well, but Ooston is on the back of Max Weering, who's also racing in the North American Championship this year, drove in the series last season, and there 22 has had a drama at the chicane. That is Libor Dvoracek. So he's got himself mobile again and continues into turn 17. That was all a self-induced spin, so no more dramas than that. 22 then, Libor Dvoracek gets moving once again, albeit badly delayed. So there, Max Weering keeping Maxime Ooston at bay. They sprint now up into the approach to the Bilstein curve and then on to here, the Ad Van Bogen. Behind them is Guillaume Pujol. Go back, what, 3 years now. He was one of the leading lights in the Spanish F4 Championship, but making that switch across the GT cars where a career can blossom for you. Number 21, Gabriele Rindoni, from the back of the grid up into 19th, under investigation for possibly overtaking under a yellow flag. Into the pit lane now comes then Max Weering. Bails out of that battle. And they're also coming into the pit lane, Kevin Gelardoni in early to give way to Leonardo Pacini. So as the race leaders work lap 11, approaching the halfway point, it is still Sebastian Balthazar now ahead of Kevin Rossell. In comes Dmitry Gavatsova to give way to Andrea Kola. And the pit stops with a delta time for being stationary of 60 seconds for the double drivers, for 63 for the soloists. They are undertaken. Sebastian Balthazar staying out a little bit longer with more experience of the car than Seb Morris. He didn't, until yesterday, have much experience since his Silverstone race a few years back. He will replace Balthazar, but I think Sebastian Balthazar doing the right thing, staying out as long as he can with greater knowledge of the car. So the two Sebastians, Balthazar and Morris, sharing the leading car for the moment. It is Balthazar behind the wheel. He comes out of the Bilstein curve and makes that run down towards the chicane now. Sebastian Balthazar from the championship last year, but a single-seater racer prior to that, using the lessons learned last year to good effect. That win that he had with Noah Watt at Zandvoort was a good drive, and there could be another win on the cards here, depending on the relative pace of not only Seb Morris, but the opposition to Leonardo Pacini can't be ignored. That is for certain. Out of the chicane comes the bottom end of the top six. The queue of cars leaving the pit lane there, getting the mandatory stops out of the way. And Sebastian Balthazar goes through. So a pit stop is the best part of a lap at the moment. As you see there, Holger Harmsen ahead of Nikolai Silvest. And also there, trying to clear traffic, is Mattia Michelotto. Eduardo Liberati will take over now from Andrei Lewandowski. He too will be a man on a mission as Kevin Rossell tries to clear the back markers. There he is, number 7. That's the car running in second place, but nearly 5 seconds adrift of this leading car right now. So there, race leader set to head down the hill for the 12th time. The estimated half-distance lap, and you can see now Sebastian Balthazar on his own, but it's down to Seb Morris to continue this pace going into the second part of the race really now. So Balthazar clear up front, yet to pit though, so also Kevin Rossell. The pit lane remains open for this 10-minute window as number 9, Adrian Amstutz, comes in to give way now to Miguel Ramos. Han Hui-Lin still leading the class. Gabriele Rindoni, as I say, under investigation for overtaking under a yellow flag, but he's done a good job, having started 31st. 14th he's got the car up to, the AM driver. So there, Sebastian Balthazar through again. Looking strong at the moment is this Leipert run car. Leipert, a very experienced team that we've seen for season after season running Lamborghinis in this championship, and on occasions in GT categories as well, but with a great data bank. Into the pit lane there, is that Kevin Rossell bailing? It is. So in he comes, out of second place, Kevin Rossell, and he will stay behind the wheel, and Gabriele Rindoni has been given a drive-through for overtaking under a yellow. The stewards have had a look at it and decided that, yeah, he's guilty, so he must now make a drive-through. As away goes Miguel Ramos, number 9. So that car back into the race as Kevin Rossell comes down the pit lane. This long, slow drive down the pit road before you get to the team. Max Weering still presses on, but that's going to be interesting in the second part of the race when Loris Spinelli takes it over. Has it already happened? It has. So Loris Spinelli is in the car. So 21st now, Loris Spinelli in the car that won yesterday. He was the fastest man on the circuit yesterday, did the best lap of the race, and he got pole. So Spinelli, who's won the championship in the past and has been outstanding in the World Finals, presses on up the hill, comes into the left and right of the Schumacher S, and should be able to gain ground here. Weering was a bit stuck in traffic earlier, but already an absolute best in the first sector posted by Loris Spinelli. So he is rising to the occasion. He's on a huge charge, no doubt about that. Kevin Rossell serves his mandatory pit stop. He will be given the all clear in a moment, and then he can blast away again. So Sebastian Balthazar coming up to traffic. I wonder whether that might just be the catalyst to bring him into the pit lane, or whether he's going to try and squeeze one more lap out of it. The last thing he needs is to lose time in back markers. Sebastian Balthazar then on the power. Makes the run here up towards the chicane once again. What else is going on in the race behind him? It's all gone, for the moment, relatively quiet, but I suspect as you get the second drivers into the cars, it's going to be a rather different look as the field now comes to the end of lap number 13. Balthazar stays out for at least one more lap. Comes through, up then around turn 17. Over the timing line he goes, and the gap that he's got over the second place car is now over Dan Pell. Now Dan also staying out quite a long time. Danny Cruz, one might have anticipated to have got into the car sooner than this, but 8.8 seconds is the margin. Dan Wells still staying out as the quicker of the two in the Pro-Am leading car is third. That's the second placed entry, that's Dan Pell. Another of the many Dutch drivers that we've got in the race, and the teenager in second spot at the moment, Dan, who is 17 years of age at the season start, Benelux Fiesta champion, and in 2017 he was the youngest driver ever to race in Holland, in his native country. There in the pit lane again from the classes, Hans Fabry is in for Imperiali Racing. That car cycles through the stop and will be released onto the circuit as soon as the delta time is up. Balthazar has now caught the traffic, so not only are there back markers generally on the circuit, there are also those coming back after pit stops that you suddenly discover in your way. And that car, number 5, is the Gregor Machulski Raf Mikrut entry that's made one stop for its tyre. It's got to make its mandatory pit stop as well, but to the inside line, Sebastian Balthazar clears that going up towards the Ravenol curve. Out of the Bilstein right-hander. That's turn 12, and then now on to the run to the chicane through the Ad Van Bogen, turn 13. Up to the end of the second sector comes Balthazar, and there is less than a lap time left in the pit window, so he's got to be in this time. Anybody that's not pitted has got to be in, and that basically means the top 7, so it's going to be a very busy pit lane now. Leader in, past the hotel on the outside of the circuit. Down the pit road comes Sebastian Balthazar, the team awaits. And now they go to work. So driver change will be done, tyre pressure's checked, and the real key in all of this is that stopwatch that's just been brought out in front of the car. So trying to make sure you are not under on the pit stop. So many teams seem to do it. Regularly you get fractions of a second penalty because what you are under by, if it's under a certain amount, is multiplied and added on as a penalty. If it's over, if you're massively under, then it becomes a stop-go. So teams cycle through these pit stops. Number 2 set to go. So Seb Morris is aboard, and the British driver making a return to Lamborghini Super Trofeo is told to fire up the engine, get ready, and then when the arm is removed front of the car, then he'll be allowed to go with everything factored in. So at the pit lane speed limit, you should be clear of the pit exit, bang on cue, not a tenth of a second before. So Balthazar, Pell, Wells, Pavlovich, Michelotto, Peugeot, Zaruba all pitted at the end of that lap. Now we need to see where Leonardo Pacini is going to be, because there's the Oregon car in the background, look, coming over the line. And the answer is that he's been absolutely storming along, so he's going to be closer to the race leader. And Leonardo Pacini will take second place then. He'll jump ahead of the Dan Pell and Danny Cruz car. So Leonardo Pacini taking over from Kevin Gilardoni. They won both at Paul Ricard. They had a win at Zandvoort and a win at Spa. So a 5th beckons potentially. Very, very impressive season they have had. So there you have the second placed car. Now remember that Pacini is already into a rhythm. He's been 2 or 3 laps into a stint. Seb Morris thrown into the car pretty much in at the deep end here. Off you go and preserve the lead, win the race. And Loris Spinelli, who has done the fastest lap of the race, is the other danger in all of this, because he's carving his way into contention as well. So the lead gap we'll see at the end of this lap, this being lap number 15. Still 19 minutes on the clock as the leaders, with the window now closed, make that run through the Schumacher S once more. So as Kevin Gilardoni watches to the pit lane, now it's down to Leonardo Pacini to try to bring down that gap against the race leader, and bring it down he is doing. The margin shrinking all the while as Leonardo Pacini drove for Lamborghini in the Italian GT Championship last year, hustles on. So also is Loris Spinelli, taking over from Max Wearing in the Johan Krahn car. So although he can't win the championship, his mission is very clear. Gain points for Max Wearing for the title race. Makes one wonder what could have happened had Max had a co-driver all year, even though he did win at Monza. That was one of those puncture-affected races at the start of the season, but Max Wearing came out on top. And right now, Spinelli is on the back of Danny Cruz. Then as they come into turn 17 and find a spinning car in the way. So somebody there pointing the wrong way. It's the Door Group entry of Gregor Drazel, who is recovering. So he will rejoin. Balthazar to Pulcini for the lead is 1.8 seconds. Drazel plonks it in the gravel. Now as he tries to rejoin, he discovers how little lock he's got on that car. So this might take a little bit more clearing up. He's on the outside of the racetrack, but that's not good news, and the race director will keep an eye on that. Hopefully it won't need the race to be interrupted. As you see there, the battle going on for 4th and 5th. Now Danny Cruz just ahead of Loris Spinelli as the two of them make the run down towards turn 5 then. So Spinelli crawling all over the back of Danny Cruz. They drop down the hill once more then. So Danny Cruz ahead, Loris Spinelli behind, and Spinelli has certainly got the pace, but Cruz has got the racecraft. He's keeping him at bay here as they make the run down towards turn 8. Spinelli to the outside line. Can he get the undercut? He certainly can't go around the outside. He can get the undercut, and that's a good effort up the inside line. Hangs Cruz out wide over the curve. He bounces over the curb and over the gravel, but Loris Spinelli completely committed to that move, and through he has gone. Absolutely remorseless there, and look at the gap that he's pulled already going up through the Schumacher S. So there is a rather frustrated Danny Cruz, but right now the cars work lap 16, and Spinelli's next target is going to be Leonardo Pacini, and he has got to try and he's going to be Kevin Rossell, I should say, and he's got to bring down just over 2 seconds against that car. There's Oscar Lee heading up to the chicane. Now that is still the car leading within the Pro-Am category. So Danwell's hard work early on, keeping it ahead. In the background, Massimo Siglia getting himself up past Petar Matic. It's going to be close, this. Now the two of them down towards the turn 1 arena, and Matic drops back also now behind number 99, which has become the car of Andrea Kola. Kola taking over from Gavatsova. So race leaders currently on lap number 17. The lead gap, 9/10 of a second, Balthazar to Pulcini at the end of lap 16. So very definitely Leonardo Pulcini is on a mission. And there you can see, I say Balthazar, it's still shown as Balthazar on the timing screen. Seb Morris, it should say. Seb Morris is the race leader, and the gap is coming down. So that margin dwindling a touch as they now head into the chicane once again. There you've got Seb Morris, but he's got to stick out his elbows soon, because Pulcini, with greater experience of the cars this season, he's closing up all the time. In the first sector, the margin was advantage Morris. In the second sector, he was fractionally quicker as well. So has he been able to regroup on this lap? 9/10 it was, and now the gap goes up, yes, to 1.5 seconds. So Seb Morris getting into a rhythm and getting away. That's good. There's another drive-through penalty being given, and it's to number 26 now, which is the car of Francois Semolin, who has been speeding in the pit lane. So the race leader getting away, and Kevin Rossell versus Loris Spinelli. The margin 1.4 seconds at the start of the lap. Spinelli, best lap of the race, a 2:0. Most people doing 2-minute 1s or 2-minute 2s, so he's much the quickest man on the track at the moment. There you can see Spinelli still charging, and he's almost up with Kevin Rossell. Kevin has a pace, but Spinelli has a better pace. Now we're getting penalties being added as well. Number 61 is having time added to the race time for being short on the pit stop. Race leaders go through. This is the fight for third, Rossell versus Spinelli. So it looks like Loris Spinelli has gained 1.2 seconds, but by way of a penalty for being short on the pit stop. The message on our timing screen is slightly distorted in terms of the graphic, but it looks as though it's Spinelli's car that has been given this pit lane infringement penalty. So he's hustling on behind Kevin Rossell. You're on board at the moment with the race leader, Seb Morris, rattling over the curve. He's got a back marker to clear as well. Look now, coming up towards turn 17. And Leonardo Pacini in second place, not that far behind either, as over the line goes Morris, then over the line goes Pacini. It was a 1.5 seconds last time. 18 laps are in the book, and it's down to 11/10 of a second now. There's the back marker. It's the Privitelio's FFF Racing Team entry, and Morris tries to jump ahead into turn 1, but that was a bit brave. He's going to do it now on the outside. Is he at turn 2? Gets up alongside the back marker. Can't do it there either, so Seb Morris eventually commits to the inside line into turn 3, gets the job done, but while he was busy battling, he's lost time actually to the car he was trying to pull away from, so that didn't quite work out seemingly. By trying to get ahead of the back marker as soon as possible, he ended up on the wrong line and therefore lost a little bit of ground to the charging Leonardo Pacini, who is there behind in second place. Into turn 5 now, lap 19. So the race leader currently works lap 19 with Pacini chasing after Morris, and then it's a big gap to third where Spinelli has done it now. He's cleared Kevin Rossell. There they are, look. So, as I say, there is this Damoclesian penalty hanging over Loris Spinelli, but it's only 1.2 seconds. He'll certainly clear that relative to Kevin Rossell's car. You see how much commitment there is there. The car absolutely on its stop as it goes round the Schumacher S. Seb Morris, though, still in the race lead. Is he going to be in the race lead at the very end of all this? So he comes now downhill once again. They're chasing after him in that second spot is number 11 of Leonardo Pacini. And next in the queue is the back marker, but the fourth car you need to look at, Loris Spinelli, absolutely charging. And there's another one under investigation now for exceeding track limits, and it is Gregor Drazel, where we saw him have a spin. He's also now being looked at for using too much of the trackside. Over the line come the leaders. You can see the gaps come down again to the eye. So 11/10 it was last time around. Seb Morris is under pressure because it's 0.6 of a second now with less than 10 minutes to go between the two race leaders. And if they get together and delay one another by squabbling, would that help Spinelli? He's only 3.5 seconds back from Pacini. He's certainly closing. Up now through turn 3 they come. So Morris it is ahead. Pacini runs second. And they are getting together. Spinelli has got that back marker. I think it's Holger Harmsen's car to clear. No, Privitelio, isn't it? Sorry, the other blue and white car, the Rexel FFF Racing Team car. That's got to be cleared. Spinelli should be able to do that relatively easily, and then he can get on to terms with these two for the race lead. Spinelli will make that move on the run towards turn 8. Lines up beautifully. That kink at turn 7. Drop down the hill. And the job is done now. So through he goes. So there's nothing now between him and the two race leaders other than empty track, which he can gobble up. The lead margin stretches just a touch. So Seb Morris on lap 20, hangs on to the advantage. We're anticipating 24 laps out of this as the cars now, once again, accelerate down through the Bilstein curve towards the Ad Van Bogen. And there, in strife, coming out of the arena, is that the Tiken and Oosten car? Is that 54? No, it is 21 that has slowed, and that means that it's the Leipert car of Gabriele Rindoni that started at the back of the grid and was going very well. I think he's had a spin because it looks okay, doesn't it? So picks up pace now, but Gabriele Rindoni has had a drama. So the Luxembourgish driver missed yesterday's race and is now trying to play catch-up for the second time, having lost ground with that incident. More battles rage on as here Peter Matic comes under attack. Bronek Formanek is behind him, and then Eduardo Liberati. Now, Liberati yesterday helped Andrei Lewandowski to a Pro-Am win. Right now, though, he is busy trying to fight his way into contention here. Peter Matic, relative newcomer to racing, and has got them all stacked up behind him. Liberati tries one side, can't do it there because the gap just not quite big enough. So Bronek Formanek keeps him at bay. Behind all of them is Nikolai Silvestre. This is for the race lead, remember, here on lap 21. Morris just ahead of Pulcini. The race leaders drop down the hill once more. 7 minutes to go. Seb Morris doing the right thing right now, hanging on to position, hanging on to the class lead as well, and therefore helping his co-driver Sebastian Balthazar take points. Exactly what Loris Spinelli is going to do for his co-driver Max Weering. But now it is 3 seconds first to third. Spinelli is almost with them. There's another back marker up the road which looks to be some of that, and drama there. Matic has come to grief. Peter Matic has been tagged into a spin. That's coming out of the arena by the look of it, and others were fleeing the scene of the crime, including Bronek Formanek. So Petar Matic's car stranded, and that will try to rejoin. But Petar Matic, yes, does get going. A lot of time lost, and thankfully the road will be clear as the leaders now head up towards the chicane once more. The back marker will be negotiated in a moment. That looks like the car of Pier Legioni. It is indeed, as they come now up towards the right-hander of turn number 17, an effort being made now by Pulcini to try to capitalise on the traffic. So with less than 6 minutes on the clock and 21 laps done out of a projected 24, over the line they come. Seb Morris leads the way, but he's got to get that car past as soon as he possibly can and try and position it between himself and Pulcini to delay his rival. But look at Spinelli, almost with them now. It's 1.2 seconds first to third. Down to turn one they come. Loris Spinelli in the car that started, 12th on the grid. Brilliant stint this to get himself into the mix. Then he's on the tail of Pulcini, needing to outscore him. Same is true of Morris for Balthazar, needing to outscore Pulcini. So it's 3 for the race lead now. 5 minutes on the clock as they come out of the arena. This, one of the best Lamborghini Super Trofeo races we've had. It's all built up really nicely to a three-way battle at the very end, having been relatively calm to begin with. But now, Pulcini defends from Spinelli, who absolutely commits to the inside line at turn 5 and dives through on the inside. Great move. Sends it up the inside line, takes the place, and so now, through, clear, and trying to get away is Loris Spinelli in second place. He's still got to try and pull clear by over 1.2 seconds at the very end, but even so, Loris Spinelli rising to the occasion here. He's got time left in which to catch and pass and pull away from Seb Morris. The Johan Krahn Motorsports car climbs the hill then now. The Oregon entry down to third in the hands of Leonardo Pacini. It's still points for the championship though. And you can understand Pulcini perhaps not wanting to really force the issue and risk any damage. So there, the race lead battle now takes up attention. Through they turn. Race leaders into the chicane. Lap 22, 4 minutes to go. It's going to be 2 more laps. And there, Loris Spinelli in second place then chases after this man, Seb Morris. Is it going to be a race win today for the team that were 6th in yesterday's race, or is it going to be a double win for Max Weering and Loris Spinelli? You've got to say Spinelli is doing much of the hard work here. Over the line, 2 to go. And the margin between the 2 race-leading Lamborghinis, 9/10 of a second. Spinelli's last lap was a 2 minutes 2.2, gained another 3/10 out of Seb Morris, but of course he had to do some overtaking on that lap. So the margin continues to come down. So down they come into the turn 5-6 sequence. This is where Spinelli made his move a lap ago. He's right on the back of Morris. You can see he's just gained the time over the first third of the lap, so it's almost ready to strike. In the past, he's made his move coming into and out of turn 8, the next part of the circuit. Is he near enough to Seb Morris this time? The answer to that is going to be no, but he closes again under braking. Spinelli absolutely hurls the car down the hill, brakes as late as he dares, drags it out the other side. So Loris Spinelli, who came out of MotoGP but made a real name for himself in Super Trofeo a few years back, driving with Mikael Grenier, comes now into the Schumacher S. As further back in the queue is then number 9 of Miguel Ramos, looking to try to get past Han Hui-Lin just up the road ahead for the class lead, and those two tied together as well. 0.4 of a second between these as they come through now. So there, the white and grey car of Han Hui-Lin fends off Adrian Amstutz and Miguel Ramos' car. Ramos at the wheel, class winners yesterday, but Han Hui-Lin, good to have him racing in this European series with no Asian races to take part in, hangs on to the advantage for the moment. And to start the last lap then, Seb Morris versus Loris Spinelli. Spinelli shows intent and now lines up to have a go at the first corner of the next lap. So a good run out of turn 17, absolutely crucial, and now he goes for it. So Loris Spinelli onto the back of Morris, who goes defensive, tries to cover off the inside line, both of them being urged on by their teams. Morris starts to jink around to try to break the toe. Spinelli, though, stands his ground on the outside line, knows what he wants to do. Onto the last lap of the race, gets the tighter line heading into the arena. He's going to do it, is he? Yes, he's ahead. Brilliant move, absolutely fantastic. Loris Spinelli teed that up perfectly, knew exactly where he wanted the car to be. Let Seb Morris do all his weaving down the pit straight, and Loris Spinelli goes through into the race lead on the last lap. Fantastic drive, comes into turn 4 now, and he's going to be able to extend that margin just a little as Morris, somewhat demotivated, he's going to have to fend off the effort of Pacini then, who is inching up onto the back of him as well. So Loris Spinelli, really good pass to take over the race lead, and it has put him ahead for a double win with Max Weering this weekend. As there for the AMS, starting the last lap, Han Hui-Lin just ahead of Adrian Amstutz, Miguel Ramos' car. Ramos then comes over the line down towards turn 1, and the margin between these two for the class lead is 0.199 of a second. Can Ramos do what Spinelli did and dive up the inside? No, because Han Hui-Lin is able to defend, so to the outside line goes Ramos, but you lose a little bit of ground there by getting wide around the corner. So Ramos with the best part of a lap to go to make his move. Spinelli has made his, though, for the overall race lead. And now the cars once more accelerate out of the arena in this AM contest. Pro-Am is now being led by Dimitri Gavatseva from Massimo Siglia, and then Eduardo Liberati. Oscar Lee having fallen to 4th after that car dominated the first part of the race. The checkered flag awaits, but there could be a change for second as well. Loris Spinelli and Max Weering are going to take the race win. 2 out of 2 this weekend for the Johan Krahn team. A 3rd win of the year for Max Weering. A 2nd for Loris Spinelli, who takes the checkered flag. Loris Spinelli wins race 2 in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe ahead of Seb Morris and Leonardo Pacini. The margin between them at the end of the race, just 0.3 of a second as they came across the line. Very, very good drive indeed by Loris Spinelli to score the race victory for Max Weering. We'll have the winning Pro-Am home in a moment, Dimitri Gavatseva, who, along with Andrea Cola, won at Monza at the start of the season. And a 2nd win beckons as there, Dimitri Gavatseva and Andrea Cola comes over the line. 2nd in class, Massimo Siglia. And then in the AMS, it is going to be this contest with still Han Hui-Lin just ahead. Miguel Ramos has tried everything here, but it looks like it could well be a first win for Han Hui-Lin as he comes up now towards turn 17. And try as he might, Miguel Ramos can not quite find a way by, even on the run to the line there, nose to tail. Checker flag awaits, and Han Hui-Lin is just going to fend off Miguel Ramos as they come across the line. Great result, great way to end the race. And for Han Hoi-Lin, a maiden class victory, excellent stuff for him, and Gerard van der Horst is going to be on target to win the Lamborghini Cup as well. So over the years he's made something of a habit of doing that, and another class win beckons for him here. So the drivers then will make their way to the podiums, plural, in due course, but the result overall, and in pro, a win for number 61 of Max Wearing and Loris Spinelli from Seb Morris and Sebastian Balthazar, and then Leonardo Pacini and Kevin Gilardoni taking that third place. Pro-Am, Dimitri Gavatsova and Andrea Cola, the winners from Massimo Siglia and Guillaume Pujoy, and Eduardo Liberati and Andrei Lewandowski taking third, more points for them. Han Hoi-Lin winning in Am ahead of Adrian Amstutz and Miguel Ramos, and Gerhard Watzinger taking third. Gerard van der Horst winning in the Lamborghini Cup. Second, going the way of Pierre Feligioni and Daniel Waschinski, and Donovan and Luciano Privitello take third in the class. But a really good job done by Loris Spinelli, hustling that car pretty much relentlessly up the order and coming home victorious at the end of the race. 12th they started, but a great drive up the field, and so that car will make its way to Parc Fermé shortly, and then the drivers to the podium. So let's look at the provisional results of that race, with one or two investigations still to happen, but in the end it was a win for Loris Spinelli and Max Wearing ahead of Sebastian Balthazar and Seb Morris, with Kevin Gilardoni and Leonardo Pacini taking third. Soloist Kevin Rossell fourth ahead of Milan Tikens and Maxi Muston, and Dan Pell and Danny Cruz falling to sixth ahead of Michael Dorbecker and Mattia Michelotto. Andrea Cola and Dimitri Gavatsova winning Pro-Am eighth from Massimo Siglia and Guillaume Pujoy, and then Eduardo Liberati and Andrzej Lewandowski taking 10th place. In the classes, 15th is where you find Han Hoi-Lin as the winner of the Am contest ahead of Miguel Ramos and Adrian Amstutz, with Gerhard Watzinger taking third, and then Gerard van der Horst winning in the Lamborghini Cup from Pierre Feligioni and Daniel Waschinski's car, and Luciano and Donovan Privitello taking third. But Loris Spinelli almost being fated there as he comes down the pit lane, and a mighty drive, absolutely fantastic. So Max Wearing will be a very happy man indeed. Loris Spinelli takes the victory. The Johan Krahn team over the moon about that. And it is then a race win for the second time this weekend for Loris Spinelli and their Max Wearing, a very happy co-driver indeed. So that gives them, or certainly gives Max, a greater chance within the championship. And there, Mauro Casadei from Lamborghini goes to have a word with Loris Spinelli. Mauro, racer himself. We've seen him this year in Lamborghinis in the GT2 European Series. Drivers now make their way to the presentation area. And Seb Morris then missing out by 0.3 of a second at the end, but a decent drive nonetheless, helping Sebastian Balthazar to gain further points in the championship. So the Brit takes on some water, but we can hear from our race winners with Loris Spinelli and Max Wearing there with Gemma Scott.
Max, Loris, congratulations. Max, we'll start with you. Well, Loris is just getting his helmet off, but there, your stint, you set it up for him to take over and push.
He did an amazing job. Luckily, I was able to get the normal race pace. I keep my tires clean, and I hope to 4 people before the stop. And I'm really happy that he could finish it really well. He did an amazing job.
Absolutely, Loris, really pushing, and right at the end there, showed us what you're made of.
Yeah, I'm here to help Max to win the championship, so I think I did a good job. No, I'm joking, the car today was good. Max did a great first part of the race, so I don't have words because I think I did a really good job.
Absolutely, congratulations to both of you, well done.
Of Max Wearing, and then Sebastian Balthazar third ahead of Milan Tikens and Maxime Ouston in fourth place. Ben van Berlo fifth ahead of Raoul Gutzman and the absent Noah Watt, with Kevin Rossell, then Dan Pell next in the points ahead of the absent Jonathan Chicotto. Andrei Lewandowski 10th in the overall situation now. So the drivers, as I say, make their way now to the podium, and we have the two remaining races as part of the Lamborghini World Final to be held at Misano at the end of October, and it's going to be an intriguing battle for this championship as well as the North American that comes to visitors. Look at the highlights of the race. Great getaway made by, from pole position, Sebastian Balthazar. He led the queue down towards turn one as the battles raged on behind him, and the field then accelerating through the arena for the first time, but Sebastian Balthazar just able to extend the advantage over the first few laps, chased initially by Raoul Gutzman, but on lap 2 Gutzman had a tyre go down and that caused him to have a big spin and retire from the race. This was the moment the tyre went pop going around turn 2, and that instantly gave Kevin Gilardoni another place, but with so much of the lap to try and trundle around, Gutzman parked it, and that was him done for the day. Drama for Mattia Michelotto at the chicane as he brought the cones onto the circuit, having gone up the escape road. And Adrian Amstutz was busy squabbling with Gerhard Watzinger in their battle in the AM category as well, as those two looped their way around turn 8 at the foot of the hill. Amstutz up the curb, but even that didn't save him as Max Weering battled with Maxime Ouston, the two Dutch drivers. Max Weering, though, needing to keep that car in the mix, ready to hand it over to co-driver Loris Spinelli. Seb Morris took over from Sebastian Balthazar in the race leading car, blasted out onto the circuit. But Loris Spinelli was a man on a mission, carving his way through the traffic. First of all, he picked on Danny Kroos, committed to the inside line, and Kroos was run up the curb. He had a bit of a tank slapper in the process. Other battles raged on lower down the order in the classes, but it was all eyes on Spinelli as he fought his way through to the front, and then Petar Matic got involved with traffic. Bronek Formanek just giving him a little touch coming out of turn 3 around wet Matic, and that contact is being looked at by the race officials. Spinelli sent it up the inside to get past number 11 of Pulcini. That gave him second place, the next target being Seb Morris, and this was the move coming out of the turn 1 right-hander. Beautiful move to put Loris Spinelli into the lead of the race, and a second win of the weekend for Loris Spinelli and Max Weering. So the drivers are ready on the podium, or for the podium, and Kevin Gilardoni and Leonardo Pacini take third place in the overall and the Pro Cup. Up onto the second step of the podium in a moment will come Seb Morris, there he is, and Sebastian Balthazar. And for the top step, yet again this weekend, it will be the combination of Max Weering and the real hero of the weekend, Loris Spinelli, who is very happy indeed with his 2 race wins, and Max Weering is very happy as well because that gives him a real leg up in the championship. So well done to Leonardo Pacini and to Kevin Gilardoni as the race winners then for the second time this weekend. And there the pro category drivers all get together for the photographs on the top step of the podium at the end of the final race for the Lamborghini teams at the Nuerburgring. And as I say, Misano beckons. It's always a great weekend for the Lamborghini family, and having had to miss last year's World Final event, then I think everybody looking forward to getting back for the racing, for the World Final itself, and for the big championship prize giving that will go on at Misano. What we won't have this year there is the Middle Eastern or Asian championships that have had to be rested for the moment, but possibly some of the drivers from that brace of regions will take part in the European event if they can engineer a deal, which would be good to see. But for the Nürburgring, 3 more podiums to come, and the next will be for Pro-Am where for third place there is Edoardo Liberati and Andrzej Lewandowski. Yet more Lamborghini silverware for Andrzej's podium at home. For second place, it is Guillaume Pujol and Massimo Siglia who step forward. And the category win goes for the second time this year to Dimitri Gravatsova and Andrea Cola, who are delighted to leap up onto the top step of the podium, and they do so for the Target Racing team, which will also be celebrating long and hard. Congratulations to the winning drivers in Pro-Am, to Andrea Cola and Dimitri Gravatsova, having had already one class victory this season. It's been a long time between wins, but they've done it, they've bounced back, and congratulations to the Target Racing team guiding them home for a victory here. So as the Pro-Am drivers leave the podium, next attention turns to the Am category, where a first-time winner, Han Hui-Lin, will step forward. The Chinese driver, with all the travails of travel at the moment for him, comes good ahead of Miguel Ramos and Adrian Amstutz. And for third in the class is Gerhard Watzinger, who will step forward first. Takes a trophy, the American-based driver. Gerhard Watzinger on the podium. Then for second place, Miguel Ramos and Adrian Amstutz, yesterday's winners, oh so close to a double themselves here, but it was not to be. But for the top step of the podium, a very happy Han Hui-Lin and a good reception for the Chinese driver as well, which is really good to see. So Han Hui-Lin wins in Am for the Boots & Gignon team. So well done for Han Hui-Lin, taking the category win. And he had to work hard for it as well, because the opposition right there at the end. So the drivers then step forward. Photographs taken, and the drivers now leave the podium as the next group of drivers that are set are those from the Lamborghini Cup, which is aimed at those with really limited experience before coming into motorsport and coming into this championship. And so it is a win in the class for Gerard van der Horst, but there for third place are Luciano and Donovan Privitello. For second place, Daniel Waszinski and Pierre Feligioni Efami. And there, Gerard van der Horst arrives as the class winner. Not for the first time. He's done a lot of winning in that class over the years, and Gerard van der Horst then for the top step of the podium at the end of round 10 of Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe. So Gerard van der Horst, who's made something of a habit of winning in Lamborghini Super Trofeo's Lamborghini Cup, whether it's been in the championship or in the World Final, takes yet another win. He comes good to score the win ahead of Pierre Feligioni and Daniel Waszinski. And then for third place in the class, the combination of the Lippert driver Gerhard Watzinger. So from the Nuerburgring and the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Race 2, it's goodbye for now.